Well, hello, my darlings. I'm Faith from faithngrits and back with my little botanist journal. This is for day 12 and for my daily spread hosted by Rachel Bella Crafts. So today's prompt is my favorite season and why, and looking at layered texture. So I had a big thing, but I think layered texture, and that's going to create bulk. So I've sort of set out to try to do that without creating too much bulk on a page spread. And I think I've achieved it. I haven't really done a crazy amount of bulk on the pages, but I think I've still managed to get texture. So I do hope you stick around. My partner for today is Raindrop Lila, so please check her out. I'll pop a link for her down below. And yes, and links for the papers and everything else. So please, I hope you do stick around. It's a little bit of a stop-start because I had to wait for things to dry, but hopefully the editing process will go smoothly. Fingers crossed. So keep watching, my darlings, and for you, it'll only be a tick. Right, my darlings, I've just decided to put the camera on and we'll see what we come up with. I've ummed and awed about this long enough. So I've got my journal out. I've got my clips out because I'm going to need those. I've printed these two collage pages from the botanical kit. And I've got to say they're absolutely gorgeous. That sort of vintage look to them. Lovely. So I've got some leaves out for the moment. So my prompt is layered texture. So I'm looking at texture again. So looking through here, I can't go too thick because the book, I don't think will accommodate anything that's too thick. I've got these brads, pardon me, already in, so they can be taken out and adjusted. I've got that page there on that side. Sorry if I'm umming and ahhing, I have to reach for a drink. My sinuses are out to get me again. And then I've also got that page on the other side. So I might do a few. But the prompt is my favorite season. And my favorite season is definitely autumn. I love it. It's like nature just puts on this grand finale. And it's like proof that change is beautiful. And change happens to all of us. So, yeah, I just love autumn. Getting in those comfy clothes and so anyway, let's do this first. So I have a plan for the collage papers. The first thing I want to do is try to work out if I can incorporate some leaves behind that brad. So I've got some chunky leaves, but still be able to close the closure, if that makes sense. So if I can put some behind. So let's try. These aren't that thick. Got that one. But they would have to go through the center there. But still leave that accessible. What else have I got? I got a red. Not too many. Now these yellow ones are quite shiny. But do I care? I got a more orangey one in there. I'm scared to tip out the whole box because it'll go everywhere. Maybe. No, those are all flowers in the bottom. No, I don't want a flower on there. No, that's too bulky. Or do I go with a pale green? No, I've got green in there. Or a brighter red. Let's try a brighter red. The yellow could go underneath. Oh, come on. The yellow could go underneath. And then the red sticking out there. Quite like that. What do you think? Should we give it a go? Because it'll have that in the center. Or do I want that bigger red? Right, Don't overthink it, Faith. Just do it. That's got holes in it. Another one? Let's have a look. Yeah, there's another one there. Yeah, so let's just do it. Yeah, take that green one out. So, I need to figure out, got Henry here, my hedgehog. I need to get these centered in such a way that I can poke a hole in them. So I'm just going to pinch them together. Out there. And that will go, nope, that's got to come over. And yeah, they kind of got to go cattywampus like that to go through the brad. Let's do it. Don't overthink it, just do it. So if I clamp these together, I just heard a big thunk. One of my clips is falling down. Clamp these together and go into that center hole. All the way through. I'm trying very much after that collage thing to embrace just going for it. So let's take this brad out. And stick it through that hole. So yeah, it's the collab has been absolutely brilliant so far. I am yet to catch up filming today. I am filming a little bit early. I'm not caught up on all the videos by any means yet, but I'm working on it. So I've gotten that brad through. Please don't move. Yep. Get it back in the hole. And of course that will need some sort of reinforcing on the other side. Let's have a look. Bend that down. There we go. Now I think that'll leave enough room to close. I think. But never mind, we're doing it. We're not overthinking it, we're just going to do it. So I need to disguise the brad and secure it on that side, but I'm toying with leaving this open for writing. So if I can find sort of a famous quote about autumn to go in there, and perhaps add a few other embellishments there. Now for this side, I'll come back to those now. I want to cut some of the collage paper. I want a page that goes nearly to the spine. So I'm looking at 4 inches. So 4 inches there that will flip out. And then on the inside, I want, or not inside, the other side, say 1.5 inches to be a pocket on this side. So 1.5 inches of the collage, so that's 5.5 inches. So let's cut that now. I've been off doing side quests here, so I've got complete chaos around me. Let's try that one. So what did I say? 5.5. 5.5 and 1.5 inch score. No, I need to cut height first. So without too much fussing, I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to flip my paper over. I want that at the top. Butt it up against there. And pencil, pencil, pencil. Pencil. There we go. And give myself a little pencil mark there. So I know I've got... There are lots of cheats like that that I find it speeds me up because I'm not measuring. There we go. That can go in the scrap trolley behind me. So that now fits here. But I need an inch and a half that's going to be attached on the other side. Little scoreboard out. So, no, I hope everyone's enjoying the collaboration. It's been really, really good. And these kits are marvelous. Especially that foundation kit. I could see myself going back and using that more and more. So, give that a score at 1.5 inches. And I print on 120 GSM Navigator paper. Here in the UK, and I think, according to Google, where is it now? I think in the States, the equivalent of that is 32 pounds. So 32 pound weight in the States, and I print onto that here. And if you look for an example, that one I've printed on 120 GSM and just told it to print, auto best quality. And that's sort of what I've got. To get this, I tell the printer to do best quality on matte photo. So the printer knows it's not photo paper. How, I don't know. But I tell it to go ahead anyway. And you get a better color saturation if you look at the difference there. So, yeah. So because I've rounded the corners here, I did have a lovely comment from a viewer on my previous video about, the rounded corners for the whole book. And I think even if you did the tiniest one of 4 millimeters, even if you did the tiniest round, I think it makes it just look a little bit more finished. So that's what it's going to be there. It'll be a tuck on that side, and it will be a flip out on that side. So I'm going to snip these corners, but I can't remember what corner I used. I think I did 10. Yeah, I did a 10. So give this one a clip at 10. And that one at 10. And that is ready to get incorporated there. But I'm going to clear the decks now and gather some more fun things to play with, because I have a plan for that, and I need some sort of string for that closure, but I'll come back to that. So I've got to get all this moved out of the way because I need some space to play. So give me a tick. Right, my darlings, I've gotten out a palette and I've some of my brusho crystals, and I'm not using my texture paste today. I'm using modeling paste. You can get a far larger container of modeling paste. It's essentially the same thing when I've tested it out, but for junk journaling, modeling paste is slightly more flexible. So, and it's cheaper. So I got that out, got some palettes out. So this is my favorite stencil. I think this is a Slovenia stencil. So I just want to add some pops of brown, red, and maybe a yellowy orange over around the edges of this to give it some texture. So let's do a dark brown first. Now, if you've never worked with these, the only thing you've got to be very, very careful, always put the lid back on, because you do not want this pot to spill. This is pure pigment. Great fun to play with. There's lots of things you can do with it. So I'm going to put brown in there and a teeny bit of black. Where is the black? There it is, because I want it to be quite dark. And remember, when you're adding black to anything, a tiny bit is all you need. So a teeny tiny bit of black. Not that much. And because you want it a little bit darker, because you're going into white, a white base. And you can use acrylic inks and things for that, because this stuff is acrylic based. So I get a scoop of paste. Go and get that mixed up. Try to keep all those little crystals in there. And it is just a matter of mixing and mixing and mixing. Because the little crystals are activated by water. I've seen lots of people do, I can't remember who it was, one of the larger junk journaling channels. I remember watching somebody do like a water bath to dye up grungy papers. And for the life of me, I can't remember who it was. So I'm going to try that bit there. And it should dry a little bit darker. So I'm going to do this stage on camera with you here. And because it is a bit of a process to mix. I don't want the video to be too long. So I don't want to go on that edge there. So let's nice paper, and full of paper everywhere and not a piece to be had. There we go. So put that to cover up my flap. Because I want it to go right to the edge. But I'm not covering up the whole collage. I'm just going to go around the edges. So on the back of my palette knife, a little bit, in a few places, and then I've got to get my stencil into some water then. So that now is quite raised. So that needs to dry for a minute. And I need to get my stencil washed. So, back in just a tick. Right, darlings, this is very, very wet. I did go ahead and add the exact same way the, it's like that reddy color and yellow color. These will darken a bit as they dry. But I don't want to force this one, so this is going to have to set up overnight to dry. So I'm going to pop this out of the way. My stencil, somewhere safe, hold on. My stencil and my palette knife's gone in for a wash. I do not wash these. I leave them sit out of the way somewhere until it's completely dried and you could just peel it off. I'd rather peel it off and put it in the bin than think about putting this down the drain. So, that's that. That can go away. And, well, a couple of things here. And I'll come back with that textured piece. So we've got some texture here. I don't know if I've said already, but the collab is, I'm way behind on catching up videos. Way behind. I'm hoping once I get this one done, I sit and just binge watch through everybody. I'll worry about that brad later when that page comes around. I'm quite pleased with how that came out. I've got a piece of embroidery floss on there. But on this side, I want to secure that brad because you see it's spinning at the moment. And I want the leaves to stay sticking out that way. So I found this in my drawer. And this is a gorgeous thick ribbon from Sostern Green. So I want to put a bit of that on that edge and just glue it down, and it should secure that brad to stop it from spinning. And yeah, it's gorgeous. It's just like the green leaves with brown dots, but I just want to get it. Come on, art. Oh, I bought the competitor for art. I bought the Barely art. Actually, let's try that. I don't have much of this stuff left. Let's try Barely for the first time. So, is that covering the brad? It is, isn't it? Yes. So I've put the finest tip on the Barely. I know lots of people say you have a little bit of wiggle room more with the Barely. But on the whole, it's a bit to be a really good glue. Get around that brad. And let's see here. And I know I've cut it a little bit long, but I can trim that off. Am I on the edge? Yes. Oh, it does grab pretty quick. I can feel it. Am I straight? Yes. Right, pin in the glue. And I gotta say, the pin in this Barely glue is substantially longer than the one that comes with art. Which, there, stop making bubbles at me now. And the fine tip is very, very fine. A little bit finer. So until I can source art, and thank you, Ronnie, for offering. Now, this stuff isn't supposed to wrinkle paper. That's one of the appeals of art, isn't it? Is it doesn't wrinkle the paper. So that then looks a bit more finished on the inside. I'm going to keep this bit for journaling. But yeah, those ends need to get trimmed off. And yeah, I just need to wait for that other texture piece to dry. Oh, and I found a little leaf charm to go on the end of this. So let's have a look. Where do I need to go? Actually, yeah. I'm going to put that leaf charm on there. I know this is a bit too long, just so that I don't lose it. And then do that once that glue's had a chance to set. So, for you, my darlings, it'll only be a tick, but that texture paste has got to dry. So, watch your space. Right, back darlings, this is dry now, and it's got a lovely feel to it. It's got a really lovely raised effect to the colouring of the edges. I'm not sure about the center yet, but let's get it on and crack on. So I'll open that out of the way a minute and get this with a little bit of ink. So I've just pulled some things out from my autumn box that I had with me on Rachel Bella's autumn retreat last year, and get some bits and pieces and see what I can come up with. I don't really have a plan, but often that's just the mood that I'm in, and I just want to go for it. So I've rounded the corners of that. That's going to be a flip out page, but I want it bang on there, and that'll be a tuck on the other side. So let's get this bear out and see. It was blowing lots of bubbles at me the other day. So get this glued on this side, on 3 sides, and give it a squish. And stay there. The pin back in the glue. So any of you out there using this Barely art, I know it's freeze stable, so you don't have to worry about it not shipping like you do with art. But where I'm at in Wales, there's just nothing around here that stocks it. There is a craft shop down Haverford that I've been meaning to visit. I'm hoping he stocks it. But here we go. So my flip out. And I'll come back to that last. In here, I want to put a couple of pockets for tags. Now, I'm sure I got this from Rachel. It was in one of the packs for the workshops. It's like a handmade paper. And I think I'm going to add a second one on top on both sides. And then I got some bits and pieces here to try to cut down for cards. So this is not square, but I don't care. I didn't mean to rhyme then, honest. That's 7.5, so that's 3.5, 3 3/4. So 3 3/4 to go in half. And give it a chop. Don't overthink it, just do it. And I'm going to pop one on that side and one on that side. Don't want to snip the corners. Yeah, why not? I snip the bottom corners. Yes. And maybe, oh yeah, because it's fuzzy on that corner. That corner. A little bit. Oh yeah, because it's got a core color. Just want to knock the core color off the paper. So now I'm hoping this video is making sense, because I had to do it over the course of a few different sessions, and then I begin to doubt myself until I get in and start editing. So, and then we'll add an extra piece of that on top, I think. So glue these down and hope for the best. No, I'm slowly catching up on videos, and I've seen so many ideas I want to try now. Really, really itching to go and catch up on the rest. I can't believe, what am I up to? I'm up to Phyllis, I think. No, I haven't. No, Scrapbooking with Me is the last one. Last thing I've ticked off. So I hope everyone else out there is enjoying the collaboration. These are always really good fun. I'm not sure if that wants to cooperate with that paper. So, yeah, so my favorite season, autumn or fall, as you say in America. I love it. And you get so many more sort of autumnal options in the States than you do over here, because, I mean, you do have Harvest Festival and everything over here, and you do see autumnal things, but not to the scale that you do in the States, because it's very much tied in with Thanksgiving, then, isn't it? So, and all the way through to Halloween. So, yeah, I hope that bonds. It does take a little bit longer to stick. Now, let's get some of this on there. This is like an offcut from a jelly plate pull that I did last autumn. And no measuring, I'm just going to guess. Give that a chop. So anybody else out there measure like this, of just hold it up, make a pencil mark, and go? If so, please let me know in the comments that I'm not alone in doing that. And then that one, I'll have that side or that side? That side. So I'm itching to have I know this is more of like a botanical journal, but I did want to do a seasonal spread in there, sort of a nod to autumn. I love autumn. It's like, you know, nature puts on that last final show, and it's just, wow, isn't it? And corners. And you're into those comfy clothes, and the flannel comes out, and what's that meme? All the other girls are looking fabulous in their flannel, and here I am looking like a lumberjack. But never mind. Lovely. So, stick these down. I wonder if this is going to cooperate on this paper. It should be alright. Yeah. For my gel plate, I tend to find old photo albums, and I use the paper out of I harvest the paper out of those when I find them in charity shops. A little tuck in there. And these are just going to need filling. And I'm going to go through the kit and do some filling from there. Come on, stay. And perhaps I'll do that off camera and then jump back on at the very end and show it filled. There's a few other tiny embellishments I want to consider now. Get these on. Well, I didn't ink that. Well, it's fine. I'll give it a rub with a brush later. Okay. So, I've got those pockets there. That folds in. That'll be for another time. This then is going to close. Let's have a look. Oh, I haven't trimmed that. Trim the lace off the ends. Oh, and that side. And close this up. As I said, I'm going to leave the inside of that one for writing space because it's such lovely ledger paper. Pull this around 3 times. Yeah, 3 times. And then work out how long I want it. So I want it just hanging below the edge of the book. Or do I want it up a bit? Up a bit, I think. And tie that off. So I need to go and search for some things to fill those pockets with. And that will be my... Oh, there is one more. Scissors. Now, I've got these sketchy leaves. Some of these have been punched from my gel plate pools, and some of them have been punched from wallpaper. Pin in the glue, Faith, come on. So, I don't know about the teal. But those, I think I might layer. But I think they need to be hit with a bit of ink. They're not really standing out. But that's just going to add another element of texture. Or do I go back and add a few into the center there, but ink them? So I'm going to go and test those, find me some tags to go in there, and then I'll pop back on. So, and check over my footage. So give me just a tick. Right, my darlings, let's have a look. So I did stick some of those sketchy leaves down in the center there, and it is very textural now without taking up too much thickness or bulk. So we've got our closure there. That ledger paper has been left behind for writing, and then on the inside I've added a couple of labels from the kit there, and that's from an old jelly plate pool. Ready to go. And then I've had these from the kit as well. I quite like the shape of these because they're quite irregular, but just a little bit irregular. So I'm going to stick a few of those behind. And no, I'm really, really pleased with this, how it's come out. And my apologies if the video ends up being a little bit choppy, but no, I'm pleased with that. And you know, like I said, I don't want to take up too much bulk. And I think I've achieved that. The leaves are quite flat. I think the brads take up more bulk in this situation. But I've managed to get texture in there. So really pleased. So I love autumn. And the autumn color palette, it just sings to me. I did end up using a teal leaf, but I rubbed it down with some brown ink. And I think it works. Because it ties into that gray. So, no, so I've got that extra little tuck on that side that can be worked on, and then that side needs that brad securing. So, no, very happy with that. Thank you ever so much, Rach, for letting me take part in the collaboration. The kits are beautiful. And please check out my partner for the 12th, which is Raindrop Lila. But I think I'm going to leave it there. I do want to carry on elsewhere in this journal. I just need to decide what I want to do. So thank you ever so much for watching, and if you like, please leave me a comment, and consider subscribing. So thank you all, my darlings, and happy crafting, everyone. So me, Faith from Faith and Grits. Bye for now.